You know, they say the TV camera adds pounds, but in this case, it adds more to the mustache than I originally thought. I'm not starting to look like that Mario Super Brother guy here. I'm a little worried here. Man, what are you gonna do? So let's talk two things real quick. Number one, what makes the network so good? Well, Coach John Wooden, someone I always read, admired, and talked a lot about. Coach Wooden talks about the pyramid of success. And if you remember, Dennis Snow had a pyramid as well. And in his pyramid of success, two real important things, right? Hard work, enthusiasm. No matter what you do in life, you got to have hard work. All the technology, all the good stuff that's happening, no substitute for hard work. But hard work without enthusiasm's what? Hard work. Gets old. So you got to be enthusiastic, got to have hard work. The other thing Coach Wooden talks about is, and I think it really kind of symbolizes and embodies this network, he talks about a person that is more interested in finding the best way than not having their own way. That's you. You want the best way. You want to do the best you can for your customers. And you're not really concerned about who thought of it, why they thought of it. If it works, if it satisfies your customer needs and helps you grow your business, then you want to do that. The second thing that I think about franchisees, and I'll answer Stuart's question, in all of my stories and all of my examples, I talk about a person named Joe Scafone. So who is Joe Scafone? I'll tell you. So Joe Scafone's a guy who says he knows everybody. So a friend of mine says to Joe one day, "Hey, Joe, you say you know everybody. The All-Star game's on right now. Do you know Derek Jeter?" He says, "Hey, Derek Jeter. Do I know Derek Jeter? Come on." They go to the All-Star game. My friend and Joe Scafone are waving. Derek Jeter turns around and says, "Oh, my God, Joe Scafone's here." He goes over and shakes his hand. He says, "You know, that was pretty good, but do you know the president?" "No, the president? I know President Obama very well." He says, "Okay." They get in an airplane. They fly. He's got a big press conference, and President Obama looks up and says, "Excuse me, everybody, Joe Scafone's here." Oh, they shake Joe Scafone's hand. So now my friend's thinking, he knows the president, he knows Derek Jeter, that's pretty good, but does he know the Pope? She said, "Hey, Joe, that was pretty good, but you know the Pope Benedict?" He says, "The Pope? Me and the Pope know each other very well." So they get on an airplane, and they're in a big audience, and the Pope is talking and blessing, and Joe's waving, and my friend's like, "I got to tell you, Joe, I don't think he knows it." Joe says, "Look, if I go up and he recognizes me, will you believe I know the Pope?" My friend says, "Absolutely." So Joe walks up, the Pope turns around, "Mud on to me, Joe Scafone's here." Hugs him. With that, there's a big commotion in the crowd. My friend fainted. They run over. "What happened?" He goes, "Hey, look, I was impressed when the Pope knew you. When the guy next to me said, 'Who's that next to Joe Scafone?' I couldn't believe it." So, who's Joe Scafone? Joe Scafone is that person that knows their people. Joe Scafone is the person who knows their customers. Joe Scafone is a person who cares about their customers. Joe Scafone is that person that says, regardless of what's right or wrong or what I think or happy, sad, I'm going to do the right thing. Joe Scafone says, I put my customers first. Joe Scafone's the guy that says, when my problem becomes the customer's problem, they leave. So as we go out and we do our daily routines, whether it's manage a store on behalf of your franchisee, own the store as a franchisee, as an area franchisee, it's that Joe Scafone attitude of taking care of my customers, doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, putting aside all of the stuff that always gets in the way, right? The first 100 years of a company does not guarantee the second 100 years. You got to remember that. That is so important. So Woolworths starts as a company 1879. On the 100-year anniversary, there's no longer a Woolworths. Now, in 1963, just because a couple people asked me the Foot Locker example, in 1963, Woolworths bought Kenny's Shoes. Kenny's Shoes became Foot Locker. Today, the old Woolworths is Foot Locker. But why is that important? When interviewed, the leaders at Woolworths said, "Hey, nobody wants a five and dime shop." Now I ask you, can they put another dollar store in a corner anywhere? Can you find another under five shop that they can put somewhere? It's not that there wasn't a need for a five and dime shop. They lost their way. Remember, you could go into a Woolworths. Now, I'm dating myself here, but you could buy food. You could have got a TV set. It wasn't a 5 and dime shop anymore. They forgot who they were. They lost their way. How about this next company? Does this one look familiar to you? The 100-year anniversary of the Sears and Roebuck catalog, there was no more catalog. When asked what happened, Sears said, nobody wants catalogs. I don't know, can you get another Pottery Barn catalog in your mailbox every day? There's like 14 of them. Kids, parents, adults, it doesn't matter. You get catalogs every day. Sears lost their way, right? Because you could buy everything in a catalog. So the first 100 years does not guarantee the second 100 years. That kind of vision is what prevents you from being Woolworths and Sears. You want to be that trailblazer. You want to remember who you are, hold on to the things you do well, but go forward, have a vision. You don't want to be the example, right? You don't want to be the example of the Woolworths or Sears. You want to be the example of how that company redefined themselves, continue to grow. Don't you ever wonder, like, who had that vision to do that?